Well, we did contact the company, and they refused to come on, but the representatives from Stella DOro and Brynwood Partners did provide this statement that read in part, quote, "The decision to close the Bronx factory operations has not been made in haste or without significant planning. What the union leadership has failed to grasp is that any business that cannot operate profitably must seek changes that will enable it to do so. By refusing to compromise and insisting on maintaining a high labor cost structure, the union leadership has ensured that the jobs they were trying to protect would eventually disappear from the Bronx." Louis Nicolaitis, your reaction to that statement, especially the issue of insisting on maintaining a high wage structure?
Well, the wage structure is not high. It's the range is anywhere from about $18 to $22 an hour. So anybody living in the city of New York who's living on about $35,000, maybe at the top end it's $50,000 for the skilled tradespeople. That's not a lot of money. That's not even a middle-class standard of living. You're not going to live with one income with that in the city of New York. So it's not a high labor structure. But the real issue is this is a private equity fund or a hedge fund. When they said they're not profitable,
And they bought the company in 2006, right?
Yeah.
So it was shortly after that they started this effort, right?
Yeah, the short history is it was a family-run company for many, many years, and then they got sold to corporate owners, first Nabisco, and then Nabisco got bought by Kraft. So Kraft was the owner that sold it to the private equity company. So when they say it's not profitable, they really don't mean it's not profitable. They mean we don't get the super rates of profit that we expect. These folks tell their investors that they're going to return a 30 to 35% rate of return. That is an unreasonable rate of return for most companies. So it is profitable. It's just not as profitable as they would like.
And when I was interviewing you a couple days ago for my column in the Daily News, you told me about the negotiation session where they came out and said why they needed to cut the wages. Could you talk about that?
Exactly. They started out from the get-go in negotiations and told us that they're private equity. They're not an operating company. They're a financial investor. They're only going to keep it for 3 to 5 years, and they're going to turn it around. So their whole point was to reduce labor costs to the point where they could get another buyer to come in and have a contract that was gutted. Some of it was financial, and some of it was issues of control, not just financial. Like one of the provisions in this contract, it's an old kind of, if people know CIO, it's an old industrial contract. We have a provision that says that the cookies will have union labels on them. So that was one of their proposals, to take off the union labels from the packaging. Now, that doesn't save them any money. It's just an issue of who's controlling what.
And can the company just close it?
We say no. The company can go out of business. That's a Supreme Court case called Darlington Mills back in the 60s. You can't keep companies in business if they don't want to be in business. But they're not allowed to move production to avoid a union. That's called a runaway shop, and that is illegal. And the union is pursuing that, and we will pursue that before the board. So we believe that their closing the plant is in retaliation for the workers' activity, and we will pursue that through the avenues.
And your perspective is that if they don't want to run the plant, they should sell it to somebody who will run it, or perhaps to the workers themselves?
Yeah, exactly. If they don't want to run it, if they don't want to get those super rates of return, they can find people that are willing to accept a reasonable rate of return, either a private owner, or if, it would be great if you could get funding that would allow some kind of a cooperative or an ESOP, employee stock ownership situation. But we realize that's a difficult road to hoe, but we're exploring all of those avenues. And
just a quick thing, Juan, the significance of Al Franken now. He comes in as the 60th senator, makes the Democrats filibuster-proof. Not clear exactly what that means right now as Democrats join with Republicans on a number of issues, but his first act is to endorse, is to co-sponsor EFCA, the Employee Free Choice Act.
Well, I think that's definitely a signal on Franklin's part that that to all of those people who tried to keep him out of office for so long, that he is going to be one of the progressive or liberal on the liberal end of the Democratic Party, and by signing on to EFCA immediately as his first act, he's definitely sending a signal. You're going to have a tough time with this particular senator from Minnesota. Well,
Louis Nicolaitis, I want to thank you for being with us, an attorney with the Workers Union, the Bakery, Confectionery, Tobacco Workers, and Grain Millers Union. we will continue to follow the story of the Stella DOro workers. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. When we come back, we go to Afghanistan. Stay with us.